Punk rock was born out of the Midwest in the late 1960s. The disillusion of the Vietnam War mixed with an economic downturn left many feeling abandoned socially and politically. During this time, Detroit bands such as Iggy Pop and the Stooges, MC5, and Death would break through, born out of blues rock, but with more aggression and irreverence, where many of the early punk bands incorporated a sardonic tilt to their music. Death, the only African-American band of the proto-punk era, would bring far more political and social aggression, as well as more technical virtuosity, as they were originally a funk band. Death was the direct line from which hardcore would be born, harder, faster, and more aggressive than the other genres of punk, with a keen focus on community and expressing your dissatisfaction with the status quo as loudly as possible. And that's where our men of the hour, Militant Defiant, come in. A Tyler-based band first introduced to me by my brother. I saw them live in a short-lived Dead Street venue where I knew I was witnessing and participating in something special. So come with me as we go and meet Militant Defiant. On the side note, this was my first time interviewing 4 people at once. I was nervous from that, and then I was also having technical difficulties throughout. When I get nervous, I tend to laugh more, and also some of the sections, audio quality isn't up to my usual standards, but I think this podcast is worth listening to. All right, I'm sitting here with Militant Defiant. They're a East Texas-based hardcore band, and hopefully the audacity won't cut out on me again. So if y'all want to introduce yourselves, we'll go clockwise, I guess.
I'm James. I do vocals.
I'm Wes. I do bass.
I am Zach. I play guitar for the band.
I'm Wade. I play drums.
All right. So I guess what's the idea and origin behind the band?
Fuck shit up.
Well, the origin, funny enough, started with Craigslist, of all places. We originally, Wes and I found each other on a ad that we both were replying to. At the time, I was looking to get back into music and finally start playing again. And luckily enough, I found an ad of some guy who was looking for members to start a hardcore punk project. So I was like, oh, cool, this is right up my alley because I've been wanting to do heavier music. Yeah. And so little did I know, replying to that, Wes would also be replying to it as well, too. And so that guy who had posted the ad would end up becoming our first vocalist. Things didn't pan out as well, and we're off to a rocky start. And slowly, after the conception of the band, once we came up with the name and wrote our first few songs, we went ahead and recruited Wade. Found him on what's the name of the website?
Bandmix.
Yeah, Bandmix, which is funny enough where we would find James as well. So we had recruited Wade. We had already started jamming, rehearsing, and working on other ideas too. And then, like I said, things didn't work out with that vocalist, commitment issues, variety of things. And so we had to remove him from the band. And for a brief moment, kind of panic. We're like, oh, man, we're down a vocalist now. But then, lo and behold, Mr. James here, found him on the same website, Bandmix too. All of his influences and his style kind of fit with what we were going for. So we brought him in, and first practice, he nailed, some songs on his first try pretty much, and we were blown away. So we brought him in, and shortly after that, it was when we had our first gig, which was a house show. So poor guy, just brought him in. It's all right, well, you're brand new to this band, and we're already throwing you into a show. Let's go. So yeah, and then from there, rest is history.
So what year was that?
2023.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would say
not long ago at all.
Yeah, not at all. I would say
last summer.
Pretty much, yeah, because that's when we brought Wade in the band. It was late June, so that's when things really started to kick off.
Yeah. You didn't work at Harbor Freight, did you?
No.
Okay. You look like a guy, and I think his name was Wade too. You look very much like a Wade.
It's my doppelganger.
Yeah. So had y'all all been in different groups or anything before, or was this just all y'all's first time putting together a band?
It was this is like my first like actual heavy band. I've been in a couple of like pop punk and emo side projects and stuff like that, but this like my first actual heavy band. So
Yeah.
I'd never been like in a band like this before. I'd done like all sorts of drumming and music just in different settings, but nothing like this.
Yeah. So I want to go to the vocalist now. How often do you lose your voice, and how long does it take to get it back?
I don't really lose it that often. I'll lose it if I'm super nervous and can't really focus on what I'm doing. I kind of over project, but for the most part, if I can stay calm, I don't really lose it as long as I don't overuse it.
Yeah. All right. So, I guess y'all just re-released y'all's first album again. I think there was a name change too on it. So what was the process? Why did y'all decide like it's time to go revisit it?
Well, the first one we had like done everything ourselves, all the production, and it was our like first time producing something of that length, of the amount of songs, and just kind of learning as we go. And I mean, we're still proud of ourselves for like doing it, but like over time we slowly realized like, oh man, just the sound, it just doesn't capture like what we originally intended with those songs. And so we figured as a band, it's like, let's redo it, but do it right this time. Mm-hmm. We got ourselves a great producer, our friend Nick Me, who is the drummer for another local band here in Tyler. Gouge.
Stand up and show the class.
Yeah. Represent Gouge.
Okay, I've heard of Gouge.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've heard them or not. I probably have, but
those are the homies right there. Love
they
those
played
boys.
at Dead Street too a few times.
Okay, I probably have then.
Yeah, their drummer Nick, he really wanted to work with us, and he does a lot of music production as well. So we started working with him, and then the process was just super easy. And so yeah, just got that going, and now we're we have a product we're truly happy with. Everything sounds great. So
yeah. So trying to think of like a good idea back here, but like how does because y'all came together pretty quick, how do y'all formulate songs? How does that come about?
I'd say most of our tracks have started with like bass and guitar. Like Wes and Zach will get together, and they'll come up with a few ideas, and then I'll like try and throw drums on it, and maybe they'll have suggestions for different parts of like sort of style that we're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll just like fill in or come up with the rest. And then for vocals, sometimes we already have them written out, and then some of the other songs James has written vocals on as well. There's a few parts, like in our two newer tracks, Decay and Disappear, where we started to shift into a little bit of a different writing pattern, where there were certain sections that I think, the very last like breakdown section on Decay, like that started with drums. Like I just came up with like the drum pattern, and then they wrote to that. So we're kind of starting to mix it up and learn new ways of writing as well.
Yeah. So is there any sort of philosophy behind the band besides fuck shit up?
that's the main one right there.
It's community.
Yeah. So,
yeah, absolutely.
any elaborations past that?
Well, I mean, it's like in the hardcore ethos to build a positive community around you, and to keep it alive as well, which is something that we've always strived for since day one. Bringing in a lot of people to understand it's like, we're not trying to gatekeep or anything like that. Like, heavy music, it's for anyone who wants to take the time to like come and appreciate it and enjoy it and then partake, whether it's like, singing along, moshing, whatever the case is. Like we thrive on that participation pretty much. And then beyond that, like lyrically and just kind of like the themes that we take, we just want to stand up for, stand out against like the injustices in the world, and for those that are less fortunate or oppressed to like, you know, be an outlet to, whether it be for expression, rage, whatever the feeling is, to stand up against, you know, all the bullshit that's going on out there. That's something that we really pride ourselves on, and, you know, because there's so much going on in the world, but with our music, like, we hope to be some like that, mainly like an outlet and just a great way for people to, you know, I guess, yeah, fuck shit up, but yeah, just to let out all their frustrations that we have, because that's what, you know, hardcore at its like finest detail really is, you know, just expression, whether it be like, you know, all sorts of emotions, negative or positive. You're letting it out in a creative and, like, you know, healthy manner, instead of just letting it pent up and bottle up inside of you. We hope to be that for people, like, you know, something to turn to in there when they need it most. So
yeah,
we're a voice for the people.
Yeah, and like to go off of that, like, from the outside, I think a lot of people see like hardcore punk and stuff as almost this kind of dangerous, you know, threatening sort of thing. But honestly, like, going to the shows and stuff, it's almost a religious experience, I'd say.
Yeah, it feels like that.
I mean, like, you know, I'll meet guys at concerts, and moshing is like their religion afterwards, you know. After they commune, they go to everybody and hug them.
Yeah, that's the best part. A lot of people, they'll see, like, you know, because especially now you go on Instagram or other socials and you'll see like pit videos or crowd killing videos and stuff like that, and to an outsider's perspective, yeah, it does look pretty crazy. But a lot of times what they don't realize is most of those people, like, after they get in there, they'll hug it out. I mean, hell, we just went to a show last night, and that's what I saw nonstop throughout the pit, is like no fights were breaking out. People were just moshing and, you know, slamming on each other, but afterwards they would hug it out. And, you know, it's all about community, just like Wes said. And the people that are there for that reason and understand that, you know, they'll really see it. And even if it gets a little crazy in there, or you know, you might walk away with a bruise or two, at the end of the day, you know, that's what it's all about, is keeping your scene alive, keeping the community together. And, you know, a lot of people outside, they may not see it that way, but it's one of those things, kind of like, you know, you have to be there to really know what it's all about. So yeah. And we hope to bring that message to people too.
Pick a brother up.
Yeah, precisely.
No, I mean, it is crazy, because I've gone to these shows, and it's like, if one person falls, like, everybody knows it automatically. There's like people around them holding other people back.
Yep, that's right.
So let's talk musical influence. We can go around the room. Like, was it always hardcore for you guys, like, growing up and everything? But we'll start with you.
I got into probably metalcore first when I was in like 5th grade or so. Some goth kid gave me a bunch of CDs, like Under Oath and As I Lay Dying and Becoming the Archetype and stuff like that. And as I got into middle school, I kind of transitioned into like death metal, deathcore, more heavier stuff, and that's kind of where I've stayed throughout the years. I mean, I still kind of listen to, I love all metal, you know, but that's kind of where I'd.
So was it always just like metal for you, or did you listen to other stuff?
I liked, I grew up on probably, like, you know, I would consider it alternative or new metal, like Mudvayne, Chevelle, stuff like that my dad played, Drowning Pool. But yeah, I've always been a little.
All the divorced dad rock.
Yeah. All the. Fortunately, he's not divorced though. But yeah, just I've always been a little metalhead.
Yeah. What about you?
I didn't really get into music until a bit later, like around the same age, 5th grade. All the gateway stuff, like your Nirvanas and new metals.
Yeah.
But I'm more past that. I just got into garage rock, more on the psychedelic side. I like the 13-4 Elevators a lot, or some of like the obscure 90s bands that you could find.
Yeah.
Like the Mummies, pretty good. Kraut, it's pretty good as well.
So did that slowly turn into hardcore and stuff, or was it just you kind of got thrown into a band?
Through the gateway, you know, like through pop punk, and later on, I fell in love with classic hardcore. And I think somebody showed me a shitty example of what new hardcore is, so it kind of turned me off from it.
Yeah.
So by the time when we got with Zach, like I was naming all my influences like through hardcore, and it was just Poison Idea, Black Flag, Judge, all the sorts.
Yeah.
And he had to playing catch up still. But I'm loving every second of it.
Yeah, for sure.
For me, so from a very early age, like I remember, my brother had a like little stereo system in his bedroom, and it was just like music from that era mainly. So it was like 2001 to 2003. It was just nothing but like chart topping new metal. So you had like Papa Roach, System of a Down. That was like my first exposure to like any kind of music at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so hearing that at a very young age just formulated me from that point on. And I was just like, I want to just continue exploring that. And so that same brother of mine, when I got a little bit older, we would like, drive around in his car, and he would play metalcore as well. And it'd be stuff like early Killswitch Engage, As I Lay Dying, All That Remains, Lamb of God, things like that. And I was just hooked like immediately. So I took that, and then as I got older, just started finding my own music. And then I also was like, getting more into like other styles like death metal, but also hardcore was a big one. Probably my earliest example was hearing Hatebreed at a young age, and that changed me from that point on. And then so kind of just kept diving into that, and went through like a Midwest emo pop punk phase in high school years, like most people do. And then as I got older, I started kind of like falling back in love with, heavier music again. I think one of the few bands that there's like four in particular that kind of did it for me. It was Knocked Loose, starting to pick up some steam and getting really popular. Vane was another one, a band called Sanction, and a band called Boundaries. Like listening to those four bands like in 2018 or so, they all had music coming out, and it just hooked me, and I was like back to going to shows and getting into pits and just getting back all into that. And yeah, it just been like that since for the last couple of years. Same thing, like playing catch up with a lot of music I missed in the years prior, but also like there's just so many bands coming out nowadays, and it's like every day you're always finding something new. But beyond that, it's like I do enjoy like all sorts of music. I also love like jazz. I love 90s hip hop as well, stuff like Mobb Deep, Nas, KRS-One's another good rapper I like, and also some modern stuff too. But like the core of it all, it's always been like just heavy hardcore, like fight riffs, breakdowns. That's my cup of tea right there.
Yeah.
I wish I had been like introduced sooner to like heavier music. I think when I first started to like trend that way, I was listening to a lot of the like 90s Seattle scene, so like Soundgarden.
Yeah, all the grunge era.
Yeah. And I really liked Audioslave a lot too. And then one of the earlier like heavier bands that I knew about was Disturbed. And I slowly started to find out more about like just heavier music, and I think metalcore was probably the first like subgenre of metal that I really dove into. Stuff like Currents and We Came as Romans, and there was a lot of like progressive metal and gent bands as well that I really fell in love with. And these guys, like I'm the I'm the gent guy of the band.
He's a gentleman.
Yeah. But I didn't know a whole lot about like hardcore or like stuff like what we do until I started to meet these guys, and I'm really thankful for that.
Yeah. So was it just like you were looking to drum in any band, or?
No, I think I had like developed this sort of taste like before I met them. Maybe not hardcore, but like metal at least in general.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely glad like where I've fallen into with this group.
Yeah.
It's nice.
So of the band specifically, like are there any specific inspirations y'all take from bands? Like I'm trying to think, like Militant Defiant itself, is it I guess inspired by any other bands besides just like all y'all's general interests?
That's the tough one we always wonder about. It's because, like, we all have, the core of it's heavy music. That's kind of like our, common ground. But we all just have so many, like, different influences. I don't think, like, to this day, we still try to think, like, who is our biggest, like, core influence that we can all agree on. Like, because if you ask us, well, I'll say something different, pretty much.
Yeah, I think we're still working on, like, finding our sound. Not that we're not, like, happy with all the stuff that we've come up with, because we certainly love it, but that's something that you hear a lot of bands talk about, like, in their formative years, is, like, finding, their sound and, like, fitting into it. I think some bands that Zach recommended, as I was, like, trying to come up with drum parts for some of our tracks, I was listening to a lot of, like, Weapon X and Sanction. And
that's my boy.
Yeah. But it's been really cool, like, finding inspiration like that.
Yeah.
But I'd say a lot of our tracks still, like, I don't know that you could listen to any one of them and say, like, that's purely this, like, subgenre of metal. Like, they're all, like, fusions of a bunch of different things still. That's what's nice about it.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's like a sort of, at least for good bands, not just like high schoolers who all listen to the same 3 bands and then make a band out of that. Not to throw shade at anybody, I won't bring them up here. But yeah, it's sort of a natural progression of finding your sound. Or, I mean, even in art, you can see people, and starting off, everybody tries to do what somebody else has already done, and then slowly you find your own voice in it, So, anything else? You look like you've been waiting to say something for a while.
Oh, no.
No? Okay. Just ready to jump in. So I guess where do y'all want to see the band go? Is there anything developing, or just something y'all wish deep down in y'all's hearts for?
I think we're really just trying to expand, like, our reach still. We've gone to Shreveport and played a show there, and we're looking to go back possibly later this year, if not early next year. We really want to break into the DFW area, maybe even, like, Oklahoma as well. The scene here it's great, and we want to see it grow, and we're really pushing to help build that. But we're also looking to get on the road and find other.
I feel like the scene's just also kind of now started here more than anything, but. Well, I think I'm out of good questions. Is there any where y'all want to take the podcast to? It's y'all's episode.
I guess in that same vein of, like, where I hope to see us go, pretty much that, expanding our reach, and then hopefully next year, not only just getting to the DFW market, because their scene is just incredible. Like, they have so many great bands, and even going, like, trying to get out further. The scene over in Austin's great. Houston and San Antonio, they have some amazing bands out there too. So hopefully trying to get out there would be really nice. But yeah, pretty much that. Just expanding our reach, writing more stuff, and continuing to evolve and just keep writing heavy ass bangers one after another. Like, that's always the goal in mind. So I don't know. What about you, Wes? What do you hope for the band to be in the future?
Stay militant.
That's right.
That's all.
So, Militant Defiant, are y'all a far-right militia here to bring the downfall of the United States?
Not in the slightest.
I guess that is a good question. Like, where does the song come from? Is it just hard as fuck? Or so it did cut out right when I asked that question. So if y'all have any good answers on where the name comes from.
Go for it, Wes.
Yeah, I think this one was all Wes.
Bullshit answer. It's not true. I did not come up with the name, despite what they say.
You most definitely did. I know.
I did. I don't know, we were just bullshitting names, but we didn't want to. So I wish we settled on a one-word name sometimes, but just rolled off the tongue. Militant Defiant.
Yeah.
Just to reiterate on points earlier, it's the basis of it. It's to stand up for people, pick a brother up, just defy.
Yeah.
But not, aimlessly, but, through resource, through community, through direction. And arming people with that.
Okay. I think we're back.
Like we never left.
There's no technical problems on my podcast. This. So, you were talking about like it being about picking people up, pointing out stuff. So, I guess it seems to be sort of a feeling amongst people today that I don't know. It seems like we're kind of forgotten about. Seems sort of like the 70s all over again. So like, what was it that like, I guess inspired you to like, I guess say that?
People dying everywhere.
Yep.
I wish I could give a more nuanced answer, but that's really it.
Just
people dying, people starving in our own country, people starving in the world.
Yeah.
We have more than enough money to fix world hunger more than 3 times. Where's all that go?
Yeah. And now we'll go into the world economics.
Yeah.
No, it is true though that like I think they say like America alone, like what we produce, and just the capabilities of like shipments and stuff, like it literally anywhere that's starving right now is purely political, and just either our country or their country not allowing resources in. But, I'm trying to think of a good way to end this episode or a good question. Anything else y'all want to talk about?
We can, I don't know what track, we have 8 to choose from, but we can talk about like the meaning or lyrics behind certain tracks.
I mean, for sure, 'cause, for one, half the songs I can't understand more than a quarter of the lyrics.
We did upload the lyrics.
Yeah, they're uploaded.
I typed them all out.
I even did the live where you can sing along to it too. So
yeah, Militant Defiant karaoke.
exactly.
As a bouncing ball for each word.
Yeah.
Can't get lost. No excuse.
Everyone's gonna learn them words now.
But yeah,
Find it in your local jukebox bar today.
yeah. I mean, if y'all want to just pick a song and we'll go
I
from there.
think my favorite lyrically would probably be like 903. I think it's just really clever. We sort of collectively wrote that one, but Wes wrote pretty much everything for it. Most of the lyrics, he wrote the bass, wrote the guitar riff. That's Wes's song.
Wes just takes no responsibility for anything.
And I like Decay as well. Just like the melodies I chose and how I wrote it. I was trying to lean towards more of like the new core style, like kind of, I don't know, Alpha Wolfy or Dealer kind of choppy sounded stuff. But yeah, Decay is pretty much just about, addiction or struggle or trying to pull yourself out of it and realizing when you're almost out of it, things are just going to, get a lot harder for you. And you may end up replacing one thing for something else or what have you. Just, it's pretty much just about, struggle, addiction, or whatever the listener can relate it to,
Yeah. Yeah. So, not to get too personal, but like, have y'all struggled with addiction?
I think everyone's got their vices,
Yeah.
When I was younger, I definitely played around with drugs a little bit, but yeah, just yeah.
I definitely have my tendencies, hence why I adopted a straight edge lifestyle in the last couple of years, which is why like when James writes lyrics related to that topic, they hit a chord for me too, and you know that is something that can help out people kind of dealing with that same thing, which is why I've always loved James's like style of songwriting and you know adapting to what we write and making some great lyrics because they're always like super hard hitting and he's not afraid to put it out there. And that's, you know, even the songs that we wrote, like that either I or Wes did lyrics for, we have the same kind of intention. So it's really cool that, you know, we all have that. We're just not afraid to put stuff out there, even if it hits really close to home. And it's just a great way to like use it as an outlet and express that, you know. So it's really cool that we're able to do that.
Yeah. So you said readopted straight edge. So were you like a straight edge kid? Or?
Yeah, growing up, I was pretty much like my entire life, and the music definitely helped. And then kind of like in my later teenage years, I sort of slipped out of it and discovered, you know, drinking and smoking pot and stuff like that. And I let myself go for a couple years. And something, I think it was actually like before I had moved out here to Tyler. I lived in Dallas my whole life, and I've only moved to Tyler in August of 2022, and that's kind of where August. Like, yeah, little reference there for the OGs. When I moved out here, I was in a bad spot, like financially and just in every aspect, like emotionally as well. And I was like, man, I know if I slip back into that, it's just going to get really bad. So I just focused on, you know, just music mainly, and kind of like got back into that, you know, just cutting off any sort of substances, and was like, yeah, I'm just ready to take up that lifestyle again and, you know, stay true to it this time. And no matter what happens, like, you know, even if shit gets really bad, just not falling into bad habits like that. And then, you know, I tell these guys all the time, like when we all got together and we started, you know, making music, playing shows and stuff like that, they really pulled me out of a dark spot personally. And since then, like that's why I owe everything to this band and everything we do. And, you know, whatever we write, I hope to do the same, like leave that same sort of impact of favorite bands of mine did for me, and like being that sort of little space, that outlet I needed during those hard times. And I just hope we can do the same for people out there as well.
Yeah. And I mean, like, that ties back into the whole community idea of it. So really, Militant Defiant is about AA. So what about 903? Because you brought that up and then went into Decay afterwards. So what's the meaning behind 903?
I think Wes might be able to describe that a little better.
That's about these alienation. No hate towards individuals out there, but just collectively. It's just about, you know, not gentrification, but it's old, but just inheritance. Yeah, how people are just. Yeah. But class division, class worker.
Yeah. So, because I didn't grow up in the Tyler area or anything, so was that seen as like the other side of the tracks for a lot of people in Tyler? Or?
I mean, you could say that up north, you know, Tabor's a bit, you know, on Morningside.
Yeah. Anything like, you know, he pointed out Decay and 903. For the rest of y'all, is there like any near and dear songs to y'all?
Probably for me, and this is a hard one to talk about. It's a little bit of a fresh wound, but I have a love-hate relationship with our last track of the album, which is actually the most like technically recent song that we've like written. It's called Disappear. And that one kind of dives into a topic that we haven't really gotten into, more pertaining to like personal relationships with other people. I wrote that one back in April of this year. I had gone through something that would end up like getting really worse as the months went on, relationship wise, and Disappear was sort of my like coping mechanism to talk about it and sort of like express a feeling that I've always had where sometimes like I feel like I push away the people closest to me, and it's a lyrical topic like that we never really dived into, but you know, these guys were just so open and cool with it. And then once we started putting the song together, it just like, you know, it's always like really crazy how it works. Like, you know, starts with an idea and then we just start adding to it. And then once we hear like the final like song, we're just kind of shocked, like, wow, like that was really cool. That turned out way, you know, better than I thought it would be. And so that one, it's like near and dear to my heart, because I pretty much wrote like all the guitar stuff, the lyrics, and sort of like constructed how the drums and bass would work in that one too. And also like it not to toot our own horn or anything, but it just sounds badass. Like we we have a lot of influences in that song. Like at the end, there's like a whole like the perfect kind of mosh part where it gets very like death metal influenced. That's where our little death metal tastes come in a little bit with the guitar. But yeah, like I'm just super proud of that one as far as like song structure and the way it's written, and plus just what I, you know, wrote it about. You know, that one's near and dear to my heart, honestly.
Yeah. You said love hate, but it sounds like mostly love.
Yeah, the hate aspect came from like recently, like when we started having to play it, and it was just freshly after the, you know, relationship I based it off of had kind of like came to an end, and I was like, God, I really don't want to play this fucking song. But over time, like I've grown to just like enjoy it more, because I think it's how any musician should see like their music, even if some of it's like super personal and they wrote it about a certain like person or time in their life. It's just cool to be able to look back on it and just see the growth. It's like I'm not that same person. Like I'm not, you know, as upset or hurt as I was when I first wrote it, and it's kind of like almost like a capsule of sorts. Like you can go back and look at it and just be like, yeah, like I was there, but we're here now, and I was able to make something awesome out of it. And you know, same thing, like going back to my original point I made earlier, where I hope that song can kind of be that, you know, little outlet for somebody who may be going through a similar thing. So like I said, it started off like kind of iffy as far as like, you know, playing it live and being like, oh yeah, this is, you know, part of our catalog now. I got to get used to playing it. But now it's like, okay, I can enjoy the song again, because I'm not even tripping about everything that happened anymore anyway. So
yeah,
whatever.
So, because y'all kind of talked about like some songs, it sounds like y'all are just jamming and y'all go from there. That one sounds like it was very personal. Did you write that after y'all had sort of a musical structure already made, or was it I'm gonna write this down first and go from there?
Yeah, so funny with that one actually, because one of the riffs that like happens in the middle of the track, I showed it to these guys like way back, and it was just one of those ideas where I showed it to them and we just did not know like how to follow it up. Like we came up with some ideas, but nothing was just like feeling right. And so I would just write like pieces of, you know, different parts of the song, like that last part I mentioned, the very like the death metal inspired part. I had written that and I was like really proud of it. And I was like, man, this is going to be like a great ending for a song. And just over time, like I would just write piece by piece. And funny enough, the person who is the subject matter of the song was kind of like there for it all. And like I would show them, you know, every part that I was writing. And so it's funny how like when it all came together, I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna slap this all together, and it just worked. And then I showed it to Wade, and he started cooking up drums for it. And then I taught it to Wes, and then shared the vocals with James, kind of like a rough scratch track. And I was just worried straight up, like I was like, man, what if it's like too weird, or you know, it's a lot different than what we've done before, and what if they hate it? But I mean, immediate response, they're just like, nah, we fuck with this a lot. So I was like, cool, I'm happy with it then.
I think it's also our only 3-minute plus track.
Y'all getting really tired playing that on stage. So, what about you, Wade? Is there any like songs that stand out, or at least that you think people should check out?
I think for me, if I had to pick one, it'd probably be Decay as well, just for basically the same reasons that James mentioned. Just the lyrics really resonate and just hit hard. Every section of that song, it's just you don't get bored. You just feel very alive during it. Especially, I love playing it live. It's probably my favorite one to play live. It's just so much fun, and it really gets the people moving.
Yeah. So I guess if people want to check y'all out, where should they go? Where
They can go anywhere.
Everywhere.
Whatever their preferred platforms are. I think we're pretty much on everything. So
Yeah.
Some we've never even heard of before.
Yeah.
But
Anytime, anywhere.
exactly. We got socials and everything. We have Instagram. We have X. I still call it Twitter. Fuck you, Elon. But we're on X as well. Let's see. And yeah, all streaming platforms. We have a YouTube channel too.
yeah, we have our live sets on
Mhm.
YouTube.
And we hope to start posting more stuff, probably like show vlogs and playthroughs, stuff like that. Maybe like James's personal vlogs if he wants to do those.
I gotta say, like the video of y'all at True Vine is kind of funny. Just the what it call the venue itself. Just imagining the typical people I see there.
That was such a weird one. It's like I think a lot of factors played into it. Like it was raining super fucking hard that day, and it was on a Sunday too, and not a lot of people want to go to shows on Sunday. And so we were getting ready to play and like doing sound check, and they're like, all right, you guys are going to be on in 30 minutes. And we just looked up. It's like, there's no one here though. It's like, what the hell, man? And then we started playing, and like we still to this day, like despite that, like even James, he's like, that's probably like the most fun set we've ever played, and we're just having a blast up there. But you know, we're all just jamming, and then there's probably like 5 people right in front, and I was like, damn, it's always like our best ones that we play. It feels like that, where we're just having a blast, and there are no technical difficulties. Because I don't think your in-ears gave you any trouble, did they?
I didn't have in-ears, but they cranked the monitors up where it helped me out. I think the mic only cut out like 2 times towards the end, but no, it was a good show. Sound was
I
alright.
mean, it was a fantastic performance. It's just thinking about True Vine.
Yeah, and it was our first time there, and it's a great venue, but yeah, it's just like, I don't know, for
The
our
setting's
kind
a little different. For,
Yeah,
just for hardcore.
it's definitely odd. It's no Dead Street, I'll tell you that much. Like
Yeah.
that fit the vibe a lot more for sure.
Did you catch the Toadies there recently?
Okay. I didn't find out about the Toadies being there until the day of, and it was sold out. And then me and my brother were going to just try to break in, but then I worked until like 6 o'clock. Started at 6 that morning, so I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna. Do love the Toadies though. Oh, hi. You made it to the end. Congratulations, not many people do that. While you're here, as well, like and subscribe, and check out our social media on Instagram and Facebook under the same name as down there. Thanks.